because of pornography, there is a market for child porn. One of the most disgusting, despicable things that could ever happen. Now there's a whole market dedicated to it. You talk about freedom. Are you aware that pornography has been banned for most of America's history?
No, I was not aware of that.
You want to take a guess at how many women are sex trafficked because of the porn industry?
I've got no idea, man. It's probably in the thousands.
It's in the millions. Any society that rejects God will be cursed, and any society that obeys God's law will be blessed. Basically, God says, you want it, you got it. See what happens. I think within 10 years, both liberals and conservatives will be talking about the fact that we need to ban porn because the consequences have become so horrendous.
You kind of changed my mind here.
All right, Harrison. Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
I've got 3 propositions here. Which one do you disagree with?
I disagree that pornography should be banned.
Okay, but you agree with the other ones?
I mean, I'm kind of so-so, you
Okay.
know? Like, I'm able to understand the point of view that you might have with abortion as murder. I also think that transgender ideology can be dangerous, but I don't really see how you can think pornography should be banned.
Okay, I can explain that. I'll ask you some questions first. Why do you believe that we should allow it?
Because America is built upon freedom, and I disagree with the censorship of stuff in general.
Okay, should we allow people to take methamphetamines?
You know what? I think that can be dangerous enough. You know, it could be fatal.
Okay. So you're saying that if it's dangerous enough, we can ban it, but if it's not dangerous enough, we shouldn't ban it.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. You want to take a guess at how many women are sex trafficked because of the porn industry?
I've got no idea, man.
Yeah.
It probably in the thousands.
It's in the millions.
Really?
The millions of women are sex trafficked because of the pornography industry. Not only that, what do you think is the average age of exposure to pornography as little children?
I don't know, like 10, 11.
That's close. That's about right. Many of those exposures run between 6 and 10. So little 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds who should be thinking about climbing the highest mountain, slaying the dragon, saving the princess, all these fun imaginary things. Instead of thinking about that, they are exposed to hardcore pornography, and that's most kids today. We've got an epidemic right now where young children are having their innocence ripped away from them. So what would you say would constitute something being dangerous enough for us to be able to pass laws to get rid of it?
I think that, you know, that's a very subjective question because, you know, like cars probably kill more people than the porn industry, and we don't ban that. So should we ban cars, driving cars?
Yeah, so that's a great example. Cars provide a positive benefit to society, right? It gets us places faster. It enables us to create more. It brings economic boom. There are many positive aspects, many boons that having vehicles and driving cars brings to society, whereas pornography has no benefit whatsoever. In fact, it only causes harm. I mean, it causes the sex trafficking of women and children, by the way. An incredible amount of the porn industry is made up of actual child pornography, which is illegal. So that's banned. But what I'm saying is that all pornography should be banned because it's bringing about incredible harm to our society. So, for example, would you say that prostitution, which is already illegal, should be legal or illegal?
I think it can be legal.
Okay, it's mostly illegal everywhere in the country, basically, except for like Vegas right now. But you're saying that prostitution should not be illegal, it should be legal.
I mean, could you explain to me why it should be illegal?
Well, besides all the harm that it brings to everyone involved, not just the woman who's being pimped, because most of the time in prostitution situations, it's not self-prostitution, they're being pimped. So take that aside. Let's just say even if it was the people who are prostituting themselves, even the man who's partaking in the prostitution is harming himself, and all society gets harmed as a result of two people who are degrading human beings and degrading the sex act in and of itself. So what we've got is this is contributing to societal decay. And so what I would say is that whenever something is contributing to societal decay, we don't have to put up with it. In fact, we don't. That's why we don't allow prostitution right now. I think that's good. I think we already have laws against prostitution, so we should pass laws against digital prostitution. You talk about freedom. Are you aware that pornography has been banned for most of America's history?
No, I was not aware of that.
Yeah, it was banned until very recently, actually. Most of American history, it was banned, and they didn't see this in conflict with freedom. They thought, no, this is actually something that degrades our society, and it actually brings about, so I'm talking about this purely from a harm benefit cost analysis kind of balance right there. But ultimately, the reason why it should be banned is because God says it's evil. All right, so we've got I think we can make a political case for it apart from religion, but I'm a Christian. That's why I have Christ as King as the topmost thing on my sign here. And God says we cannot do that. And any society that rejects God will be cursed, and any society that obeys God's law will be blessed. And my view is that we should want society to be blessed and not cursed. So there's the harm principle that I laid out, but ultimately I'm fine with standing firm on the God says so line too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to tell you guys about our sponsor for this video, Beam Dream Sleep Powder. They're awesome. Okay, I'm 33 years old. I've got two little Tasmanian devil boys who just keep me on edge. They keep me on the edge of my seat, that is for sure. Last night, for the first time, I tried this Beam Dream Sleep Powder, and I think I had the best night's sleep I've had in years. It was so good. It was so great, and it wasn't like a kind of tired that you can't fight, and it just like knocks you out, kind of that gross, drowsy feeling. It was just like a delightful sleepiness that led to just being zonked out for the night. And I slept so good. And I want you guys to know, if you guys are struggling with sleep, or if you just want to get better sleep, I highly recommend Beam Dream Sleep Powder. It's so good because it's literally like a hot chocolate before bed. And it tastes really good, all natural ingredients, none of these crazy chemicals. So guys, go get some Beam Dream Sleep Powder and use my code RRP for up to 35% off. So if you want to help us out and you want to get a really good night's sleep, go try Beam Dream Sleep Powder. It's in the description. Use my link. Thanks a lot.
Where in the Bible did it say that prostitution was wrong and a sin?
Yeah, so prostitution involves lust. So we can go Old Testament law if we want, but I think a lot of people appreciate when I go straight to Jesus Christ, our Lord. Mm-hmm. So Jesus, in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 5, he says to look at a woman with lust in your eyes, you have already committed adultery with her in your heart. And so he's saying, and adultery, that's one of the 10 commandments, right? One of the big 10 that God said, this is not good. This is bad for everyone, right? And so Jesus himself says that it's as if you violated one of the most important commandments that God laid out whenever you commit lust. And so prostitution, pornography, all of that includes lust. And in fact, in the Proverbs, if you read Proverbs 3 and 4, I think, and 5, they're spread out through 3, 4, and 5. But the wisest man on earth is constantly warning his reader, but ultimately his son, do not go near the prostitute's house. She will lead you to death. She will lead you to ruin. In fact, what it says is, for the lips of the forbidden woman, they're sweet as honey, but they will lead you down to death. Her feet follow the path to death. Her steps follow the path to Sheol. It will lead you to death. And the society that indulges in that collectively will be on its way down to death as well.
I don't understand how lust relates to death. You know, like if you just have sex with a prostitute, you're on the road to death.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me how that happens?
Yeah, one, you are disregarding the commands of your Creator, who says that sex is meant to be a sacred union between a husband and a wife. And so when you violate, sex is one of the most beautiful things that God gave us. All right, it is the pinnacle of pleasure. It is one of the most amazing things that God has given us. And so to abuse that outside of God's design is ultimately to ruin it, to twist it and turn it upside down. In fact, that's why Satan loves to twist sex. He loves to tempt people with sexual desires, perverted sexual desires, because this is one of God's greatest gifts. And Satan's tactic is to take the most beautiful things that God has given and twist them and distort them and basically ruin them. And that's why any society that really falls apart, it typically begins with sexual immorality. There have been books written that basically say that the Roman Empire fell because it began to allow sodomy. It began to allow sexual immorality began to normalize it. So we can talk about how sexual sin literally destroys civilizations, but ultimately what I would just go to is that God says it's going to ruin you. God says it will ruin your soul, and deep down I think we all know that. So pornography, that's the original question for anyone who just showed up. My proposition is that pornography should be banned, okay? That's because it's a huge problem in our society. Statistically speaking, let's say about 50 to 80% of men in this audience are addicted to it, okay? On your campus. So 80% of men watched it this week, 50% watched it. Now we're talking about hardcore pornography, something that's not been in existence and available for human beings since ever, until really since the last couple of decades. 50% of men here watched it today, okay? We can't get away from it. We can't, it's ubiquitous. And it's leading to higher rates of loneliness and suicide. All of the negative outcomes that we see in society have been going up and up and up right there with the advent of pornography becoming ubiquitous. So loneliness, testosterone rates are down. Erectile dysfunction among men is now, doctors are seeing it on average in their 20s. This used to be something that happened in the 50s. So these are physical ramifications of a pornified culture. And so really, and it's not only that, but it's also, instead of men being motivated to get off their butts, to go pursue a woman, to woo a lady, as they used to say, now they just sit in their bedroom with their phone. And that's their relationship. Now, instead of reproducing the human race, they are engaging in sexual perversion. They're literally turning their souls inward. Instead of giving yourself to a woman, to another person, they're now turning inward, right? And that becomes, that's what a self-centered society that is on its way to destruction looks like. And so, yeah, I don't know if you've ever thought about that, but that's my case for it.
No, you're teaching me a lot of new things here. I still don't really understand how, if pornography's been around for decades now, I mean, it's fairly new, but it's been around for decades, how hasn't society completely collapsed by your justifications? And
yeah, we're well on our way. Birth rates are plummeting right now, and people don't understand the existential threat that a plummeting birth rate is. Like, it will bring about civilizational collapse, but it doesn't happen in a couple of decades. The seeds that are sown right now in the soil, they've been watered, now they're starting to come up, and the fruit is going to be foul. But it's going to take another few decades to really see the foul fruit that comes from it. But my prediction is that right now, my generation, I came of age when hardcore pornography became ubiquitous, okay? I don't know a single guy my age that didn't struggle with being addicted to porn at some point in their life. Actually, I take that back. I know one person. We don't know. We are the guinea pigs for this new social experiment that is pornography. And if you, the negative outcomes they're tracing are becoming undeniable. Those will only become more and more undeniable until we do something about it. Because, I mean, we talked about at the beginning how women are being trafficked, children are being trafficked. There is a market, because of pornography, there is a market for child porn. That is one of the most disgusting, despicable things that could ever happen. Now there's a whole market dedicated to it. And so, yeah, we're the guinea pigs. We're going to see it get worse and worse and worse. And so to answer your question, I think within 10 years, both liberals and conservatives will be talking about the fact that we need to ban porn because the consequences have become so horrendous. That's what I think. It just takes time.
Yeah, I mean, you've kind of changed my mind here. I'm still gonna have to think about it, but like, the only last thing is that, and maybe it's just me being slow, but how can you attribute society getting progressively worse and worse to porn and not like economic or political policies being put into place?
Sure. There are the moral degradation of our society is happening on multiple levels and for multiple reasons. It's not like there's not a univariable analysis that can point at one single thing and say that's the reason why everything is decaying. However, I think that these three things that I put on my sign, I think these are the top three contributing factors to our moral and societal decay. And you talk about replacement rates. Replacement rates are key to economic well-being. Right now, we've got a social security system that will soon be upside down because the replacement rates can't support the people who are aging up into social security. And so we're going to have all kind of economic problems. All that's related to two of the things on this list. Pornography, which is making men sterile. They're not having kids. They're not, what the Bible says, being fruitful and multiplying. They're not pursuing a woman to multiply. And then abortion, whenever people do multiply because of pornography, they're not doing it because out of a sense of duty to keep the human race going or to obey God. They're doing it just out of sexual gratification. And whenever they conceive a child, they kill it. So now our replacement rates are plummeting, and that's contributing to economic downfall as well. So we won't know all the horrific effects of these three things on this sign it'll be studied for decades, centuries. But what I'm trying to do right now is turn the ship. Right now we're headed over this. If the Earth was flat, we're headed over the edge.
Yeah.
So we're trying to turn the ship. By the way, I don't think the Earth is flat. But if it were, we're headed over the edge right now. And I'm hoping to be one of the people grabbing this giant ship's wheel to turn it, to steer clear of ruination. And ultimately that ruin, it's not just of our own doing. Romans 1 actually tells us why societies are ruined. And it's not just because we engage in these sins. These sins are the fruit, but the actual root of the problem, God tells us in Romans 1, and that is that we reject our Creator. We reject the one who made us. And we trade in God's good creation for a lie, and we worship and serve the creation rather than the Creator. We suppress the truth and unrighteousness. And God says when we do that, He gives us over to our own desires. And that's His wrath. The wrath of God is made manifest. And God giving us over, basically God says, you want it, you got it. See what happens. And that's how God's wrath is manifested in Romans 1. And we're seeing that. We're beginning to see that all across the metrics that I gave you in society. That is the fruit. That is God's judgment on a society that has walked away from it.
I mean, you've really changed my mind, I think. Thank you for your time.
Harrison, man, that's great. That's a good first conversation.